Hello students, how is everybody doing? How are those future writers and producers and directors and actors? How is the future doing? I hope you guys are doing well and keeping yourself safe and healthy. Thank you so much, really, from the bottom of my heart to be back here from Suarez basement, the only video podcast created especially for you, those students in the communication, media, and the art. Our guest today is Marc Lupo. Yes, he's a reporter, entertainment reporter, and producer for Us Entertainment Magazine. So if your career in the future, you think that what you want to do is to cover the entertainment industry, to go to events and be able to interview awesome celebrities, this is a conversation for you. Yes, for you. Remember, this is a video podcast created especially for you to keep you educated, informed, entertained, but most important to keep you engaged with your future career. So, love you guys, miss you. Let's start our conversation with Marc Lupo right away. Thank you so much for being here with us today in the name of all my students that are watching, and of course, all other students that are out there watching my video podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And how are you dealing with work? Because, I mean, your epicenter, you cover for Us Magazine, the entertainment industry. So how different is now that you need to be working from home in compare with what you used to do in your everyday work activities?
Yeah, so the biggest changes I've noticed so far is that red carpets and all the big events that happen throughout the year have been canceled or postponed. So for example, the Met Gala, which is always the first Monday in May, that is a historic event for the fashion industry. That's been postponed. So all the events, all those interviews that we do normally in person, they've all been canceled. So now what we're doing is we're pivoting and we're doing interviews via Zoom, via Skype, on the phone. So we're all kind of now shifting our work and trying to find ways to bring our content to our readers, but just in a different way.
Do you think it is working? Do you think it's something that maybe is a way we're going to adopt this new way to do interviews to the future, or do you miss the face-to-face interaction?
I mean, I always love a face-to-face interview. There's nothing like being in a room with someone and reading their energy and kind of getting a sense of who they are. But I think the next best thing is doing a Zoom like I'm doing with you. I actually have one right after this with Candace Cameron from Full House. So I'm excited to see her. You know, we can still connect. And while I prefer to be in person, I think it's a great option. And we're going to take that video and put it into an article. And so our readers can see our conversation. And that interview will also be in print, which we're still releasing issues every week, available everywhere that you find in magazines.
And you mentioned something very interesting. It's something that I tell my students all the time, is that technology is allowing us to do things that, of course, during this type of crisis, we will not be able to dream to do if we don't have the technology. But I think in the case of the printing press, in this case of the magazine, I always tell them that, you know, it's no longer a medium of just printing, right? You need to know how to do video. You need to know how to do audio, because you take that interview and then you are able to use it for many different other platforms.
Exactly. So oftentimes the interview that we do on Zoom will live on in a video, in a podcast, in a magazine. So we can really, you know, get the most out of it and really spread it out. So I think we're all learning at Us that the job is possible to do remotely, but we're just all learning as we go, as everyone else is in the media industry.
I'm in the same boat. How did you start in the business? Tell us a little bit of your background. So any students of mine or any student out there that are watching the video podcast who feel interested in the entertainment industry and cover through a magazine or a show, what was your interest? How you suddenly say, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so I always loved entertainment since I was a kid. I was obsessed with talk shows, infomercials, and I had this feeling that I wanted to be a part of it. I just knew that was my calling. So when I was in college, I studied media studies, PR, and advertising, and I took 2 internships in nonprofit doing PR-related work, so making media releases and writing press releases and making pitch lists. And then I moved on to doing production internships one at the Montel Williams show and one at Live with Regis and Kelly. And when I was at those shows, that's when I really learned and solidified my interest in wanting to be in production. And from that point on, I graduated in a really challenging time, like some of your students might be doing soon, the collapse in 2008, the financial collapse. So it was quite difficult to find work at first, but I took freelance gigs. I worked at reality shows like The Apprentice and a few shows for Bravo. And I got my first official gig at the Tyra Banks show. And that led me to work at the Wendy Williams show. And now I'm at Us for the past 3 years.
That's awesome. Well, I always say it to my students again, and you can elaborate a little more, but things doesn't come easy. I find very interesting because a lot of students have this perception that everything that have to do with video production and TV shows and is very glamorous and very, yes, it does have a little bit of that glamorous, but it really is a tough business. I mean, I remember my first years working until 4 or 5 in the morning, sometimes for weeks. So I think that it's important that they understand that you need to pay your duties before you can get to that place where you feel that you are comfortable in the right place.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. There is a lot of glamorous aspects about working in entertainment, and there's a lot of fun perks. But the side that you don't really see is all the hours you put in, all the sleepless nights. A lot of times at a red carpet event, I'll be there until 11 o'clock, and then I'll go home and I'll be working on my laptop until 2, 3 in the morning. So there is a hustle there. And, you know, going back years into my career, the thing is that you want to take on responsibilities that might not be in your job function, because that's the best way to learn and to try out what you like and what you don't like, right? So when I was working in talent booking at Wendy Williams, I also took on the responsibilities of producing segments. So I would learn how to pull pictures and organize scripts and help producers call elements. So you really get a sense of everything that's out there, and then you can be prepared for your next move, because there always will be a next move, but you have to be ready for it.
Right. And it's how much, I always say, how much you really want it, right? You have to want it.
Yeah, and I think for any student out there who really wants it, I think it's on you to go and make those contacts now, to go out, to intern, to network, to build your network now, because the reality is when you graduate, there's no one, you know, calling you up and throwing you a life preserver. It's really on you. Everything is going to be on you and your network and who you can fall back on. And that resume is going to speak for itself. So take this time now and invest in opportunities that you care about, try things, explore, because this is the time to do it and have fun with it. It's supposed to be fun, but work hard and be prepared. Some of the best advice I ever got was from Martha Stewart. I asked her about how to be successful in entertainment, and she goes, don't expect to leave early. You'll be working long nights, and don't ask to go home early. And it didn't make sense to me until I actually started working as an adult, and I got it. I was like, I can't ask to go home early. Even if I'm tired, I want to go home. This is the job I wanted to pursue, and I'm so glad that I had that advice early on.
Who would be the people that you have no interview, but you feel like, oh my God, I would die to have this person interview?
Yeah, I mean, Beyonce is on the top of my list. I think she's incredible. She shows what hard work and determination is all about. And she's someone who's constantly reinventing herself, which I think is, to answer one of your questions earlier, the times we're living in now, it's all about reinventing and pivoting yourself. So what you were doing yesterday might not work today. So figuring out a way to move forward and be different. And I think Beyonce is that kind of person. So I'd love to pick her brain and ask her more about how she's kind of evolved. And also I love Oprah Winfrey, because she also is someone who has just been able to do such amazing things for herself, her career, the world. She's impacted so many people, and I just really admire her.
Let me call her. Wait. So here's my point. You have interviewed, okay, those are your dream interviews, but you have been interviewing Natalie Portman and I mean, really big stars in Hollywood. How you prepare for that kind of interview? And I'm sure it's one part of you that say, sure, what question I can ask to make this interview different, right? It's the same thing when I do this video podcast. I always wanted to first to feel like it's a conversation, which it is, between two colleagues. It's different when you want to interview Oprah, of course, but how you sit down and you prepare and you say, wow, what kind of questions, if I have Oprah in front of me, what kind of questions I will ask?
Yeah, so you have to know the voice of whoever you're asking it for. So Us Weekly, we really care about moms, dads. We care about entertainment and television and lifestyle and health and wellness. So keeping that in mind, I then look at my research and I spend a lot of time looking at the person's life, what they've been up to. I look at their social media. I look at their recent interviews with other people, and I get a real sense of what's going on currently in their life. And then I look back at things they've done in the past, and I think about areas that people have missed, that people have not touched on. And then I try to ask those questions to make it different for myself.
Any goals in your future career? Any steps that you feel like, oh, this is what I want to do next, from interviewing Beyonce, hopefully, to what is next for you?
Definitely. I would love to meet Beyonce, interview her one day. But my goals include covering some more big events like the Oscars or the Emmy Awards, and ideally being a correspondent someday for a TV show. So fingers crossed, and I'm working really hard to make that a reality.
EA Entertainment or...
It's my dream place to work. So hopefully E sees this and calls me.
It's a lot of people that need to be watching this in order to call you, for sure. I really appreciate your time. I just want you to allow, to give you the possibility to talk to my students and many of the students. Remember, this podcast is being created by a professor who loves what he does. I'm in love with teaching and be able to give knowledge to my students in the communication, media, and the arts. I think a lot of them are going through a really hard time just because what we're living in these days. If graduating from college was already kind of challenging, they feel now like, oh my God, now what I'm going to do, where I'm going to find a job, how easy or difficult it's going to be. I believe, and I'm optimistic by heart that things will hopefully get back to normal. But it's true that a lot of my students are struggling right now to figure out what to do. So you can talk to them directly.
Yeah, so to all you guys out there who's having a hard time, just know that this will pass like everything else. And I would say, follow your heart, follow your instincts. Don't take a job just for the money. Take a job because you love it. The job will come and the money will come after that. But be true to yourself, follow your passions, and invest everything you have and everything you can into that passion. Because I promise you, the reward will be so great years down the line.
I appreciate that, Marc. And like I said to my students, if it's a moment in life to be true to yourself and really start doing what you love, it's now. Like it's no excuses. It's like the universe is telling you, to all of us, stop, rethink, and be sure that you're going to do what you love in life. Because I think that is the whole message of this coronavirus, at least for me, is that a reset button, right? Where, okay, what I'm doing and what I want to do. Unfortunately, I'm very fortunate to be doing what I love, but I know a lot of people that are taking this time to really reset and rethink what they want to do.
Yeah, it's a great point. You have the time now to work on yourself, work on your resume, work on getting a new skill, take online classes outside of your already established classes for school. Build on yourself, build on your skills, reach out to people, look for work, even if it's tough. Look for those opportunities and think about if you see postings of what jobs you might want to do. It's a great time to focus on yourself and be selfish because we all have the time right now to do it.
That is correct. That's totally correct. I appreciate your time. This was awesome. I hope to have you back sometime soon after you interview Beyonce and Oprah. We can talk about it. And yeah, that would be fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and good luck to everyone out there who's graduating or graduating soon.